Okay, let's unpack this. We're jumping into a specific perspective, making waves in Nigerian political circles right now, especially as attention starts shifting, towards the 2027 general election.
Right. A very particular viewpoint that's getting some traction.
Exactly. And our source for this deep dive today is a news article from Eminet 24 News. It was published, looks like, June 1st, 2025. And it really centers on a pretty significant statement reportedly made by Chief Adesunbo Onitiri.
Who the article describes as an elder statesman.
Yes. So our mission today, it's pretty simple, really. We want to take you through this specific viewpoint, the one presented in the Eminet 24 News report. We're just going to explore the key concerns, the warnings Chief Onitiri has raised, exactly as they're laid out in this one source.
And the timing is interesting, isn't it? The article date, June 1st, means the statement came out just, well, very recently. Adds a certain immediacy.
It really does.
Yeah.
And just to be absolute crystal clear, like we always try to be, our role here is strictly impartial. We're presenting the views found only in this source material. We're not endorsing any political stance mentioned here. Our goal is purely to, convey the information that Eminet 24 News reported.
Think of it like this. We're guiding you through this one report, showing you what it highlights.
Precisely. We're going to walk you through what the statement apparently says, what Onitiri feels is most important for you to consider, at least according to this article, just so you can quickly grasp this specific piece of the political conversation that's happening.
Okay.
So, first off, who is Chief Adesunbo Onitiri? Based on what this article tells us, it identifies him simply as an elder statesman.
Yeah, and it gives a little background, noting he describes himself as one of the, quote, original Democrats who risked our lives during the 1993-1994 struggle against military rule.
Right. So the article seems to feel that historical context is pretty important for understanding his message now.
It seems that way, yes. Gives his words a certain weight, perhaps.
Definitely. Now, the core of his statement, as the report puts it, is a strong warning. The article says he's directed this warning towards three very prominent political figures. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi.
Quite a lineup. And what's the specific warning about, according to the source?
It's warning them against actions that could, quote, destabilize Nigeria's political environment ahead of the 2027 general elections.
So a direct link between current actions and future electoral stability. That's quite pointed.
Very. And the article says he's making a direct appeal to them, asking them to show greater restraint and patriotism. That's the phrasing used. Restraint and patriotism in their public conduct, their political engagements.
Framing it in terms of national interest then, not just political strategy.
Exactly. And the article goes into some of his specific concerns. One is this worry that political activities might maybe inadvertently create openings for anti-democratic forces to exploit.
Interesting. So a concern that internal political fighting could actually empower, groups outside the democratic system itself.
Right. And kind of tied to that, he's reportedly worried that rising political tensions could genuinely undermine the country's democracy, which the article refers to as fragile.
That word fragile stands out. It suggests he sees a real vulnerability there.
It does.
Huh.
And he also, reportedly, stressed the need for unity, especially now. The article connects this to what it calls challenging economic and security times.
So the implication is political unity is needed to tackle these bigger national problems effectively.
That seems to be the connection he's making, yes. Now, the Eminet 24 article highlights one specific action that seems to have drawn particular criticism from Onitiri.
Okay, what's that?
It reports on his criticism of Atiku Abubakar's, and it stresses this is a reported move to seek legal intervention from an American court.
An American court. Interesting.
Yes, and the article presents this alleged action as being aimed at disqualifying President Bola Tinubu before the next elections.
Wow. Okay, that's quite something. And how does Onitiri view this reported move, according to the article?
Well, the article quotes him describing it as, quote, unnecessary and unacceptable to most Nigerians.
Unnecessary and unacceptable. So both practically flawed and politically unwelcome in his view, as reported?
That seems to be the gist of it, and he makes a direct call to the opposition parties, again, as reported here. He states they, quote, should allow the president to focus on governance and the delivery of democratic dividends.
So basically, shift focus. Let the current government work on national issues instead of facing these kinds of challenges.
That's the call reported in the article, yes.
Yeah.
And to add some weight to it, the article includes another direct quote from him. Committed Democrats will not fold our arms while our people suffer from hunger and insecurity.
Positioning his appeal within that context of, the people's well-being, linking political conduct to citizen suffering.
Precisely. But it's not just aimed at the opposition. The article indicates Onitiri made a broader appeal, too.
Ooh. To who?
To both the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and opposition leaders. He apparently calls on them all to, quote, put aside partisan differences and collaborate in addressing national issues.
A call for bipartisanship, then. Interesting, given the context of the warnings.
Yes. And importantly, the article does include a reported acknowledgement from Onitiri about the current government.
What does it say he acknowledged?
It quotes him saying, the federal government is making efforts to address the inherited economic and security issues since taking office in 2023.
Okay, so there's a bit of balance there. Acknowledging efforts while still issuing warnings about political conduct.
Seems so. And his bottom line, his conclusion as reported by Eminent 24 News is pretty clear. What's needed now is, quote, cooperation, not division.
Cooperation, not division. That sums up his reported message quite neatly. A contrast to the destabilizing actions he's warning against.
Exactly. So if you look at the picture painted just by this article, what you get is a view of this veteran political figure.
Drawing on his past democratic struggle.
Yeah, doing that and issuing a strong warning about specific political actions he feels are threatening stability, particularly highlighting that reported move involving a foreign court.
And then advocating for national unity, for cooperation as the way to face the country's current challenges.
Right. It gives you a really distilled snapshot of his perspective, as reported in this one source, his specific concerns, his proposed way forward, all framed within the context of Nigeria's democracy and the run-up to the next election. That's what this particular report emphasizes.
It's a very specific lens on the situation.
It is. So, okay, let's zoom out just a tiny bit. What does digging into this specific report from Eminent 24 News actually mean for you for understanding this particular piece of the political landscape?
Well, if we connect the dots just within this source material, Onitiri's historical context as a 93-94 Democrat, his expressed concerns about fragility and these anti-democratic forces, and then his specific criticism of seeking, say, foreign legal intervention, it really underscores how different political actors perceive threats to the democratic process itself, and maybe how they frame their calls for, let's say, responsible national conduct.
Right.
It definitely shows one way that historical experience, like the struggle he mentions, can inform present-day warnings in the Nigerian political context, at least according to this report.
That makes sense. So, thinking about everything we've just walked through from this Eminent 24 News article, here's maybe something for you to chew on.
Okay.
We have Onitiri, presented as someone drawing on his experience in that past struggle against military rule. And he's voicing these strong concerns about current political tensions, highlighting specific actions like that reported U.S. court move. So what does his specific perspective, as reported here, suggest about the ongoing tension between, say, pursuing political goals through all available means versus the call for domestic unity and stability, especially coming from someone whose background involves confronting a past threat to democracy? Just something to consider based on this one report.